Starting off this vlog with some shots of my boy Leo, who, as you can see behind me, a tired boy. Love that dog. And it's vlog number 78, and it is number 2 on the list of most memorable hands that I've ever played. But before we get into that, we do have some news.
The Peppermill is reopening its doors after the COVID-19 pandemic shut it down for more than 2 months. But the outbreak is far from over, and casinos are making some changes to keep everyone safe. Here's one of the first things you'll notice when you enter the Peppermill: thermal cameras that take your temperature as you walk in.
Casinos back open all across the state of Nevada, 5-handed for poker tables, which is interesting. That could create a scenario where you get in kind of a dream lineup or a nightmarish lineup, depending on the other 4 opponents that you have at your table. Currently at Reno at the Peppermill, they're doing a $6 a half-hour timed rake, which isn't terrible, given the fact that it's shorthanded. They could certainly take more, and I'm sure that games elsewhere will be taking a lot more. The Peppermill has always set the standard when it comes to rake. Still taking a decent amount, but 5% for max at the 3-5 level is pretty good considering what you see in most other places. I have not been back yet. Several friends of mine have, and what you're looking at is a case where all the staff are required to wear masks, but the players aren't. And part of me does wish that all players were required to wear masks. Doesn't look like that's happening. It looks like very few of them are to this point, so that's somewhat of a concern. But this is a scenario where, take me for example, if I go back and play, I'm going to get ripped by some people for playing, saying that I'm taking an unnecessary risk, and I'm going to get ripped by other people for not playing, saying that there's not much risk out there and that I shouldn't be worried about it. So I will say this: I am not going to criticize anyone who decides to play or anyone who decides not to play. I totally understand both sides, and I'm fine with both sides. It's totally a personal decision that you get to make. I'll probably be back fairly soon, so there is that, though I will definitely be playing a lot less given the fact that this is going on. So we'll have to wait and see with regards to the current situation, and hope that we don't have a huge number of spike in cases as a result of opening things like casinos back up. But as far as the number 2 hand that I've ever played, I didn't want it to be number 1 on this list for a variety of reasons that I might talk about on the next vlog, but it's definitely the hand that I am most well known for. People in Phoenix I've talked to, people in Ventura, California, Los Angeles, Las Vegas, and of course here in Reno have mentioned this hand to me. And it's the only hand in the top 5 hands that I've already mentioned on this vlog. It came in January of 2017. It was a 3-way pot, and I told the story in one of the first vlogs I ever did, back I believe in April of 2018, and I told the story from Ely, Nevada. So I want to play that back for you now, partially because I love seeing the Hotel Nevada in the backdrop of the shot. Let's go to that hand. But I thought it was kind of funny. Let me do the most random hand I've ever played from one of the most random places in the state. It's important to point out that this game featured a maniac. I'd never seen this guy before, but he was raising 8 out of 10 hands the guy was raising, right? So he was a complete maniac, and he's in this game, and I'm obviously expecting that. So this hand happens where we get a limp from under the gun. A guy who I'd seen before, didn't really think much of him, didn't really know much about how he plays either way. I didn't think he was a bad player, but just not a guy that you know. So he limps in. I then look down at pocket aces. I'm under the gun +1, and I'm assuming that this guy who's now around back, this maniac I speak of, is going to raise. So I over limp pocket aces. I know that's generally a bad play, but in this case, I'm kind of aware that this guy's likely going to raise, and sure enough, he does. He makes it 40. The guy who limped in under the gun calls after the others fold, and now it's back over to me. So now I'm going to drop the hammer, but I'm not opposed to keeping both of these guys in,
so I make it 160. The original raiser, this Maniac, calls, and the under the gun limper calls. So we go 3 ways to a flop, which comes ace, 7-3, rainbow. So I flop the absolute nuts, and there are no flush draws on this flop. Under the gun player checks, and I check. And the next part of this hand all happens within, I'm not kidding you, 3 seconds of real time. I have both these guys covered, but not by a ton. I'd say that we're about 700 effective in this hand. This guy around back, this Maniac, ships all in. The under the gun limper immediately also says, I'm all in. I'm sitting here with the nuts. I say, I'm all in too. So we got 3 all-ins, roughly about $700 each, within 3 seconds on a flop in which I have the absolute nuts. Pretty good spot, right?
Well, let's not start sucking each other's dicks quite yet.
The guy who had raised never actually showed his hand. I turn over the aces, though. Given the fact that we're all in, I'm hoping these other guys will turn over their hands as well. There's 1 diamond on this flop. Ace 7-3 rainbow. The board comes out the 9 of diamonds and the jack of diamonds. Still assuming I'm probably good despite these running diamonds. The guy that had raised, clearly pretty frustrated, he sees that I have the set of aces and he throws his hand away. He would later claim to have a set of 7s, which I never believed. And then we get around to our under the gun limper, who turns over, I'm not kidding you, 8-3 of diamonds. The OCTO crab, as the hand has now been dubbed. It's become somewhat famous around Reno as a result of this hand.
So there it was, one of the worst bad beats that you'll ever see, I'm sure. My friend Gary says it's the most unbelievable hand of poker that he's ever seen, and he was in the game when it happened, as was Andrew, another friend of mine here in town that got to witness that. And it's hilarious. The guy that won the hand is a nice guy. I don't have anything bad to say about him, but he gets referred to as the OCTO crab every time he walks in by several of us. And he has no idea. I would doubt that he even remembers the hand, but who knows? So it is pretty funny. There was actually an OCTO crab bounty that developed for a while there when a number of us, and it wasn't everyone in the game, but everyone who asked to be in the OCTO crab club had the ability to win a hand with the OCTO crab and then show it, and everyone had to pay him $10. So it stopped, but it was there for a couple of months, where an OCTO crab bounty had developed just as a result of the hilarity that is the number 2 hand of all time that I played, and a truly unforgettable hand given the fact that people know me for the OCTO crab. People try to bluff me out of hands and show me the OCTO crab, which is always funny. It's just been this ongoing bit for the last several years here on this vlog. So there you have it, number 2 on the list of top 5 most memorable hands of all time, which of course means that next week we will have the number 1 most memorable hand for a variety of reasons, and you'll get to see it next week. I've never really discussed this hand to anyone, so it'll be fun to recap it, looking back at now a number of years since this hand went down. As always, hit the like and subscribe buttons if you haven't already. Oh, and one more thing. As we wrap this vlog up, I had a chance to do an interview at length via Zoom with a YouTuber named Mike, aka the 08 Grinder, and had a lot of fun talking to him. And if you want to watch that video, you can click here right now.